the water cooler, everybody. We love Texas, the great state of Texas. Let's sing the song. I don't know the song. I'll be honest with you. I don't know the song. Maybe Rick Green, who'll be here in a moment, will sing the song. Hey, that could go viral. And we would like that because that gives us more clicks and views. And that's really all we care about here at the water cooler. All right, so Donald Trump, why don't we put up this statement? He went ahead and released this press release about Greg Abbott, the governor down there who's running for re-election. Governor Greg Abbott will continue to be a great leader for the Lone Star State and has my complete and total endorsement for re-election. He will never let you down. Well, there you have it. I know there's some conservatives that have been concerned with Greg Abbott as it relates to COVID, especially in the early days. Let's bring in Rick Green, shall we? Founder of PatriotAcademy.com. Rick, a pleasure to see you, sir.
It's a pleasure to see you, David, and I promise I won't sing. I do know the song, but I want you to keep some of your listeners, and if I sing, they're all gone. I promise. They'll never come back.
Well, you may be off key on that, but you're very much on key regarding the Constitution. And now on Greg Abbott, let's be honest, talking about keys, you feel like he's been off key for a while. He's been better recently. What's your take on the Trump endorsement here?
You know, I mean, I love Donald Trump, and
I know.
he was a fantastic president. He is terrible at endorsements. I don't know who makes those decisions for him, but, I mean, Greg Abbott's nothing like Donald Trump. And to say that he won't let us down, he's let us down for the last year, acting as a dictator. He failed miserably in the legislative session to get the border. We had a bill that would have built the border wall right there in Texas. If he really wanted to champion that issue and end the border war, at least on the Texas side of things, he could have done that and chose not to. We lost so many good pieces of legislation because he just failed to lead. It's always been that way. He tends to jump out in front of the parade and act like he's leading. So I'm really disappointed in Donald Trump's endorsement. We got some great patriots running. Don Hoffines, Sid Miller. I'm hoping Alan West is going to run. Much better Trump-like candidates in Texas that he could have endorsed. So, yeah, it's disappointing to say the least.
Yeah, I bet. You know, our producer Madison had a good point. I want to put up this new next headline. He does the endorsement right after this comes out. Texas Governor Abbott vows to cut pay for state Democrats and others blocking GOP voting reform bill. As in, hey, Greg Abbott, way to go on that. And we know how much Donald Trump loves that election integrity stuff going on in all the states. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's another one too, David, that, I mean, should have been passed early in the session. That was a top priority. To wait until the very end and empower the Democrats to be able to walk out. I mean, the last time they ran away and didn't do their job was 20 years ago. It was actually the session right after I left the Texas House, and they literally fled the state so that we wouldn't be able to vote on redistricting. So we should have seen this coming. It's really a failure of not only Governor Abbott, but Lieutenant Governor Patrick and Speaker Phelan. I mean, they empowered the Democrats. We got super majorities in Texas. Never should have put them in that position. But, you know, that's a failure of leadership on their part. Hopefully we'll have a special session and be able to correct it later. But, man, we lost a lot of good pieces of legislation. And you've heard me say it, you know, listen, this election integrity thing is huge. And for all those people out there that are buying the lies about election integrity bills or somehow suppressing the vote, all they're doing is making sure that your vote counts and that an illegal vote doesn't cancel out your vote. That's what election integrity is all about. That's what we were trying to do in Texas. We're just going to have to come back in a couple of months and finally get it done, I hope.
For sure. I'm glad you pointed that out, Rick. Hey, you are America's Constitution coach, so I want to read you a headline from Just the News. It came up yesterday. It caught my attention. It said this: cruise line requiring vaccination proof dares Florida's DeSantis to enforce his vaccine passport ban. So here, help me out legally, constitutionally here. I mean, we have an issue here. We have a private company, cruise line, and I know how you feel about private companies, which I'll explain in a moment, but they want to have this vaccine passport situation, but DeSantis is putting down a law in Florida saying, no, you can't require that. So what happens here?
Yeah, you know, we've got this really strange thing happening, a realignment in America where big tech, big corporations are becoming the enforcer for big government. They're actually kind of like the brown shirts. I mean, they're literally enforcing what the government wants. And so we've really got to think hard about these first principles and how we keep a free market and let private business do what it wants to do. But think about how much we micromanage private business right now. All of the, you know, health things, all of the ADA things that we require of businesses. So to say that we can't allow government to protect our health privacy, that's really what Ron DeSantis is doing. He's saying, look, you don't have the right to ask those kind of questions or require those things. And really, David, we're also forgetting the science. The person that gets COVID naturally has a better immunity than the person that gets the vaccine. So why should that person not be allowed to have the freedom to go on a cruise or go into a restaurant? That piece is being completely ignored by the left and completely ignored by big business that wants to use these vaccine passports to literally separate us, to divide us as a people. So Ron DeSantis continues to lead boldly. I love what he did just yesterday with the whole, no guys and girls sports.
Yeah.
He's bold in the way he says it. He says we're not going to be coward. I was with him last Friday in Florida, got to tag team with him on an event. And after I got over my jealousy of him being taller and having much better hair than me, the shallow things. Once I got over that, and I heard him talk about critical race theory and how we shouldn't allow this to be taught to our kids, where it teaches them to hate their nation, hate each other, and hate themselves. I mean, he's so right about all these issues, and he's so bold. That's the kind of leadership I'd love to see in the governor's mansion in every state, including Texas.
Let me follow up on the vaccine passport cruise situation. So what's the deal then? I mean, because cruises then will basically ask you for some private health information. And so they can or cannot do that? I mean, in other words, from a private business standpoint, how does that work?
Well, we've always had, not always, I should take that back. We've had in the last 40 years all kinds of legislation and laws to protect your health information. It really kind of began when we had the AIDS epidemic in the 1980s. There was legislation passed at state level and federal level so that you wouldn't have to answer those kind of questions. We've done that with other issues. The whole HIPAA thing is about you being able to have health privacy. When people say, have you had the vaccine yet? I say, well, do you have a Viagra subscription? Do you have all kinds of, let's start asking personal health issues of people. This is ridiculous. It's bad. It's really, honestly, David, let's think about it. This is a Marxist communist idea that is used to separate us, to micromanage each other. A vaccine passport. I was just here with my good Jewish friend, Daniel Horowitz, is speaking at an event with me, and he was saying the same thing. He's saying this vaccine passport is just like a yellow star. I mean, this is so wrong what we're doing, and it doesn't matter if it's private enterprise or government doing it. It's against our health freedom and against our health privacy.
Well, you said those two words, yellow star. I know Marjorie Taylor Greene was here the other day. She got in hot water about it, and I understand. I even got in hot water because I started nodding, but I know that's out there. But just to be clear, I've got 20 seconds left. You're not trying to compare anything to the Holocaust. I know that, Rick. I know.
Well, Daniel had a wonderful guest on just last week that was a Holocaust survivor that was, 4 or 5 years old when she was in those concentration camps. And she said, you better look at early 1930s and then in comparison.
All right. Well, Rick, I got you. You were talking about 1930s Germany. Gotcha. We'll be back in a moment. Thanks, Rick. Up against that tight break. Back in a moment.